Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, anywhere you are right now, anywhere around the world. Hope you're having yourself a great day. Beautiful morning. Just been out on a little bit of a bike ride and taking in the nice weather over here in the UK today. Only 3 days to go. 3 until the Premier League returns, and I cannot wait. Looking forward to that game against Manchester City. Tough game to come back to, but at least football will be back. And of course, football back across most of the main leagues now. Of course, in the Bundesliga, football back. Bayern Munich winning again yesterday. Last minute goal by Goretzka. And they're 1 win away now from winning the title, I think, for the 8th year in a row. Wow. So Bayern Munich... and I watched, Bayern game, watched Dortmund game yesterday. It was good to be watching. I was watching a lot of football yesterday. There was also football played over in La Liga. Messi getting on the score sheet as Barcelona won 4-0 over there in La Liga. Real Madrid are playing today. And watched a really good game as well yesterday over in Italy. Napoli prevailing, beating... Inter Milan, beating them on the away goals rule. The game was actually a draw, but that was a very good competitive game. You can see Koulibaly there. I'll tell you what a player. If that's what Arsenal need in the defence, Koulibaly next to Saliba. Trust me, job done. Right? But he had a very good game, and I really enjoyed that game, watching that as well. And it's just sort of whetting my appetite for the Premier League returning. Another round of tests carried out in the Premier League test. As we know, all the players and non-playing staff that are anything to do with any of the games that are going to be happening are being tested twice a week, right? So when there was a lot of controversy about whether it should come back or not, remember, people who work in shops, people who work even in care homes and that ain't even getting tested as much as these footballers. Twice a week they're getting tested. Now they've done another round of tests, and 2 people have tested positive, including 1 footballer from Norwich. It's an unnamed player. They haven't said who it is, but he's had to go into quarantine for the next 14 days, so he'll miss the start of the season. Now, I don't know what player it is. I figure if it had been one of the main players, maybe they might have, say it was Pookie or something. I'm sure they would have said. But interestingly, the rest of the squad hasn't had to go into isolation. It's just this 1 player. So, I know Norwich, they played, I think, Tottenham last week in a friendly, beat Tottenham, by the way, in a friendly, for all those Tottenham fans who were having a pop at us when we lost our friendly the other day. But they beat Tottenham in a friendly. But there was sort of, when the news kind of came out, people thinking, well, does that mean that Tottenham players going to have to go into quarantine? What will happen to the game against Man United? Will Norwich players have to go? It's only the individual player who's contracted the coronavirus that's going to have to go into quarantine for the next 14 days. Everybody else is still good to go on Wednesday and on the weekend. So looking forward to those games coming back. And as I said yesterday, it was I really enjoyed watching Koulibaly playing for Napoli. And I thought to myself, we just need to sort our defence out. If we had a player like that in our defence. The other player that's been linked heavily to Arsenal's defence, of course, has been Upamecano. Now, Upamecano linked again today. Now, there's these rumours that are flying around absolutely everywhere. There's been Arsenal supporters getting into a frenzy, saying, could it happen, blah, blah, blah. That's because a source from out the Italian media has said that AC Milan, who are interested in signing Upamecano, they've approached Leipzig about the possibility of signing him and have been told by Leipzig, no, he's going to be going to Arsenal. And obviously this story, has gone absolutely everywhere. Fans going ballistic, because we all know we need a centre-back. He would be perfect. He's only 21. Still not the finished article, by the way. He's nowhere near a Koulibaly at the moment. But you can see that he could be a player that could develop into being a real force. has a £53 million release clause. Not sure if they'll get that for him this summer at all. But it was interesting the other day that the sporting director at Leipzig came out and said basically that, you know, we're not going to let him run his contract down. If he doesn't sign a new deal, we're going to sell him in the summer. Now, as I said, I'm not 100% sure on some of these, on that source of that story, where that's come from. You know, I mean, I'm sure. I don't think Arsenal. I mean, I'd be surprised if Arsenal have got an agreement in place with Koulibaly at the moment. You know, we haven't even finished the season yet. Maybe they've made inquiries. I don't know. I'm not convinced, should I say, about this story. But certainly, it's a hot rumor around today, and everybody's on it. Upamecano would be a great signing for Arsenal, be a step in the right direction. Arsenal also linked today with Justin Kluivert. Now, Kluivert, of course, who plays for Roma, very good forward, more plays out wide. 21, we've spoken about this before. Now, the rumors on this one is that Mino Raiola, who famously is the agent, of course, of Paul Pogba, but he's also the agent of Henrik Mkhitaryan. We know that Mkhitaryan wants to stay in Rome. The talk is that Mino Raiola is trying to engineer or orchestrate a swap deal. And we've spoken about this before. Maybe a swap deal plus cash for Kluivert, Mkhitaryan going the other way. Or it could even be Arsenal buying him outright for around about 30 to 31 million pounds. A lot of money for a player that plays out wide. And we don't need players that play out wide right now. Right, but he is a very talented player, and who knows if you know, we lost Aubameyang, maybe, you know, Arteta might be looking at, you know, playing in different ways and creating different ways of playing, and could he be a player? But for 30 million, out wide player, for me, let's concentrate on the areas that we need to, and that is on you know, sorting the defense out, or the midfield. But he has been linked again today. And also, if we did bring in a player like him, what happens to Ainsley Maitland-Niles? Now, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, as we know, hasn't really figured under Mikel Arteta. He played in the friendly the other day, as you can see there from that picture when he played in the friendlies. However, he did make a bad mistake in the friendly, which wouldn't have done him any favours, but it is just a friendly. But there's a lot of rumours saying that he will be sold in the summer. Certainly does seem out of favour. That wouldn't be a shock if he went in the summer. And the talk is he'll be sold to help to fund this re-signing of Aubameyang. Now, they'd be hoping to be getting around about £20 million for Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He is still very young, 22. And you know, he's played quite a lot of football for Arsenal, so you know, you could see him getting considered by many other clubs. But that's the talk today, that Arsenal would be willing to sell him in the summer so that they could fund a new contract for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And as I said, that's quite believable. That's quite believable that something like that could happen, because he just doesn't seem to be in the plans of Mikel Arteta, although we'll get to see. Arteta come out the other day and said, you know, he's a guy that's technically gifted. So you never know. Could get some game time between now and the end of the season. Going to be interesting to see what happens with Ainsley. Partey, Thomas Partey, linked. He's, as anybody who used to follow Transfer Daily on a day in, day out basis would have known that a few years ago, literally every day of the whole summer, we were linked with Karim Benzema, which in the end didn't happen, by the way. Partey for me is like the new Benzema. Every day the link is out there for Thomas Partey. The rumor today is that Barcelona are looking to jump ahead of Arsenal and trigger his release clause in the summer to bring him to the new camp. If they did that, it'd be quite obvious to see where he would decide to choose. You know, he can play with Messi, people like that, and in the Champions League. So if there is any truth in that, goodbye Thomas Partey as far as coming to Arsenal's concerned. But again, just a rumour. Barcelona, I don't think are going to be doing a lot of big spending this summer. If anything, what you're going to see with Barcelona is they're going to be trying to offload a lot of players. Big financial problems for them. You saw them playing yesterday behind closed doors. You know, new camp. You're going to be seeing from now till the end of the season ground that can hold nearly 100,000 with nobody in it. Barcelona in big financial trouble. They've got all these high-earning players that they paid a lot of money for, like Dembele, like Coutinho, and a whole host of others. So they're going to be more offloading than spending. But that is the rumour, that they're interested in Thomas Partey and maybe willing to put in a bid for him. Well, put that release clause. And as I said, if they did, if that is a serious thing, where's he going to go? Come on. What about Fraser Forster? Plays for Celtic, or has been playing for Celtic this season. He's done very, very well. You talk to any Celtic fans, they love this guy. He's a really imposing goalkeeper, 6'7". He's, of course, Southampton's player, but Southampton are not looking to bring him back off of that loan, or not looking to, you know, take him on permanently or him getting it. They'd rather sell him. Now, Arsenal said to be interested. He's 32 now, but there's a lot of talk that Emi Martinez, who's been at Arsenal for a long time and has been number 2, wants to leave at the end of this season to try and pursue, you know, getting into a club where he can play week in, week out, first team football. And who blames him? I think he's Arsenal's longest serving player in the current squad, and he still can't get a game. You know, only really Europa League and League Cup and FA Cup games. So Emi Martinez could leave at the end of the season, and there's a lot of talk that Arsenal might move for Fraser Forster as the backup keeper. Wow, I can't see this one. Fraser Forster backup. This guy, for me, I was surprised when Southampton let him go on loan. He's a really, really top keeper. I remember that game. Remember that game when we played Southampton one time, and it's a couple of seasons ago. And he was making save after save after save, man. He was like a cat. He was everywhere. And as I said, he's a big lump, very imposing. I think he's a very, very good keeper. And I'm surprised with Southampton that, you know, the one thing I don't know about him is I'm not sure. I'd have seen him in, you know, obviously saves and crosses and stuff like that. He's very effective. I'm not sure what he's like distribution-wise, which, of course, is now a big part of goalkeeping. Is that why Southampton, you know, at Hearts and Hootle, he really does like to play football? Is that why they've not really had him? I don't know, but certainly if we could get him in as a number 2, that would be brilliant. But I can't. He's not a number 2. Even though he's 32, he's still good enough for me to play for any of the teams in the Premier League. He's still good enough. So that would surprise me. But again, it's a rumour today. We're reporting on it, you know. And Aaron Ramsey. Look at the shock on his face there. That's why I love that picture. That's why I've used this picture. Aaron Ramsey being linked today with a move to Spurs. Spoke about how Ramsey has been obviously linked with a move away, you know, from Juventus. They only signed him last year. Juventus, again, another club in big financial trouble, need to get, you know, and when I say that, it's not meant in a bad way, because every club's in big financial trouble because of the coronavirus. But they need to lessen their expenditure. Aaron Ramsey's on 400 grand a week, and they're said to be willing to sell him. And then there's more rumours out today that they've offered him to a couple of clubs in the Premier League, including Tottenham. I couldn't see Ramsey going to Tottenham. I couldn't see Aaron Ramsey going to Tottenham. I don't know. I keep my faith in the human race. He ain't going to go to Tottenham. And I'm not sure Tottenham fans would really want Aaron Ramsey, because he's such a sort of, you know, been at Arsenal for so long, has scored so many important goals and stuff like that for Arsenal. I'm not too sure if they'd want him, but that's the rumour today, that he's been linked with a move. Wow. Hopefully that doesn't happen. I don't think it is. 400 grand a week he's on. I don't even think they're going to have any chance of really shifting him on. Let's get into some of your comments. Going to start off with this one from Bill Hemmett. He says, Grenfell, 3 years on, hashtag never forget. Never forget that. Still a tragedy what happened at that fire at Grenfell in West London. And my heart goes out to all the people who were affected by that. The effects of that still being felt to this day. And we've seen been going on with the Black Lives Matter movement and stuff like that. I mean, I think that was another example of, you know, where things are not equal. So, you know, thoughts and prayers there to everybody who was affected by the Grenfell Tower tragedy. Moshin says Upamecano is the perfect player for centre-back. In terms of play style, he's rapiste more than David Luiz and those type of characters needed at Arsenal. Relentless and never takes no for an answer. He is a good player. He's not been having the greatest of restarts. You know, he got sent off the other day for RB Leipzig. Hasn't looked, you know, when he was playing in the Champions League early in the season, he looked really, really good. Hasn't looked as solid when you've been sort of watching him week in, week out, you know. So you're going to have to up his game. King Kong says Ramsey going to Spurs is total BS. It's total BS. We need him. So King Kong's still saying he'd take Ramsey back. And certainly we wouldn't want to see him ending up at Spurs. That would be, how would that look? Daniel says this Kluivert deal is a waste of money, Robbie. We've got Saka and Martinelli. Even if Aubameyang leaves, why would Atletico sell Partey for Barca while Arsenal are willing to pay his release clause? Well, the talk is that Barca would meet that release clause as well. And as I'm saying, when players meet release clauses, then they're able to talk to teams, you know, the team can talk to that player. And if it's between Barca and Arsenal, I love Arsenal, it's my club, but come on, we'd have no chance, would we? Lord's Official says, Robbie, I think we're going to get both. We have 200... Everybody keeps... Where? We have a 235 million transfer budget, and if Stan throws in a little more and get a decent amount from selling some of the players, we will have enough to spend on two. I just don't see that. That 255 million, 35 million transfer budget is a myth. You know, why would they have asked players to take a pay cut if they got that sort of money available for transfers? That ain't gonna win. We will not be spending that sort of money on transfers. No chance. No chance. Brooklyn Pilgrim says, hi, Robbie from Australia. Who would we loan? Who should we loan in and out? Well, loan in, I'd like to see a loan of, you know, Coutinho. You know, if it's doable and if it's not overpriced, I think that would be a nice loan deal to do, to bring somebody in like that. Loaning out, where do I start? There's a whole host of players that, you know, you could loan out Rob Holding. I'd like to see Rob Holding. I mean, obviously it depends on what he does from now till the end of the season, but it might be nice for him to go somewhere and get a lot of football under his belt and then come back to Arsenal, because after that injury, it's definitely had an effect on him. If we don't sell Ainsley, maybe a loan with him as well, going out for a season, playing regular football, might be good, and we bring him back as well. You know, there's a few players in that team that could do with developing. Eddie Nketiah, Kevin Campbell was suggesting the other night, loan him out for a season and let him play football week in, week out. That could be another shout. Jay Jones says Upamecano is not what we need. We need a quality, experienced defender to play alongside Upamecano, to play alongside Saliba, sorry. Marcel Smith says, hi, Robbie. Just don't see why we would buy Kluivert. There are very few young wingers better than what we have. We need money for Mickey, at the very least. If they want him, then it should be a straight swap. Good points there. We've got enough. We've got, not just that we've got wingers, we've got very good young wingers. You know, Reece Nelson, so, you know, Saka, Martinelli, you can play out wide. You know, I just don't see where and why we need another winger. You know, it doesn't make no sense. Christian C says Arsenal would be stupid to get Ramsey back on loan. His wages are too high. We need to move forward as a club and forget about bringing back ex-Arsenal players. Jake says, hi, Robbie. What do you think of McGinn from Villa? I think you know what? John McGinn Villa is a very, very good player. Again, another player that started the season well, and I was like, interesting to see how he'd get on because a very, very good midfielder, but obviously he got a really bad injury and has hardly played this season, which has been a real shame for him. But yeah, I like John McGinn. I do like him. Stefania says, hey, Don Robbie, if we don't get Upamecano, what about Jonathan Tah? As a replacement for Ozil, we should get Lorenzo Pellegrini from Roma and play Reece Nelson at a number 10. Jonathan Tah, I used to think, maybe he could be, a good player to bring in. But some of the reports I'm hearing about him, again, is another player that makes too many mistakes, too many errors. We don't need no more players making mistakes and errors. Bigging up Inai, enough respect going out to you. Got another super chat coming from Camille. He says, honestly, Robbie, if I know Arsenal, we'll try and get Partey from Barca on loan when he is 30. Still fail. He goes, also love all the flack we got for losing to Brentford, and United go ahead and lose to West Brom. Made my day. And as I said, Tottenham lost to Norwich, It's friendlies. None of them mean anything. Joseph said, I'd be satisfied if Saka signed the thing. That's right. We're talking about Kluivert. We ain't even signed our own Saka yet to another long-term deal. Could these links with Kluivert be just in case Saka doesn't sign? Who knows? Kingsley Opera says, Upamecano to Arsenal. Can we pull it off? I won't hold my breath. Barcelona should manage the players they have before adding any extra. Leave Partey for Arsenal, and Ramsey would never go to Spurs. I don't think Ramsey would go to Spurs, man. I have faith in him that he wouldn't do that. Asher 2 says, hello, Robbie. Raul has a good relationship with Barcelona. He can get a deal over the line for Coutinho and also Barcelona doing some favour for this deal. Coutinho is more likely than Upamecano. Coutinho, I'd be happy to see Coutinho come to, but it's going to be, where's he going to end up? Who knows? Tyler says, I like the way now we might be able to get Upamecano. He isn't good enough. He goes, WTF. We are never happy. By the way, Kluivert can play as a CAM. I'm not saying he's not good enough. I'm just saying that he hasn't really, since the restart, lit it up. You know what I mean? When we've been looking at him a lot, he hasn't really lit up the thing. You know what I mean? I've been watching him and I've been like, and then he got sent off the other day. So it's not been great for him. Abhinav says, Costas Manolos for Mickey. Thoughts, Robbie? Well, Manolos not at Roma no more. He's at Napoli now, isn't he? They're not going to. We should have bought Manolos a few years ago. Again, another player that we slept on when we could have got. And he's proved to be a very good centre-back up playing over there in Italy. Sidak says, hi, Don Robbie. I think Obama Blood Clot Young will sign. What do you think on this? Also, who would you have, Prime, Alexis, or Hazard? For me, Alexis is way better. I think you'd have to say that's a close one. Hazard done more in his time for Chelsea, you've got to say. Do I think Aubameyang will sign? I get the feeling he might, because just where is he going to go? The options are less and less, but have they given a deal to him? I just hope it gets done. Chronic says, Robbie, Partey should be our #1 priority. So, that might be, you might be right there. That should be, but we need a centre back as well, I think. Rowan says, Robbie, Arsenal should sell all the centre backs, only keep Mari and Saliba, and buy Konate and Upamecano. Wow, this will be a lot of money, that. King Kong says, cut Ozil's wage and give it to Aubameyang. Well, you know, Ozil's not going to leave until the end of the season. And I'm not on about this season, I'm on about next season. So, you know, I presume that following then they could do, but in the meantime, no, he's going to be here. Latif Amin says, Sheikh Robbie, I prefer Arsenal should stick with players they have. Give them that full confidence and believe me, they will deliver. The players that we have at the moment, Latif, some of them are not good enough to win. You know, if our ambitions are to win the league, there needs to be changes with some of those players, without a doubt. So, you know, yes, Arteta can improve them, but it's still going to be never enough and never good enough to win the league with the current batch of players. There do need to be changes made. Sean says, do you think having Lacazette and Aubameyang is more of a hindrance than a curse? Unbalances the team and a waste of wages having two senior strikers. I don't think it unbalances the team. I want to see, what I'd like to see is them more playing in a way in which they interchange more. But I think, you know, in some games, I think Lacazette, I look at Aubameyang, he's an out-and-out goal scorer. But I think if we just played him up front on his own, right down the middle all the time, there'd be certain games that he'd lose a bit of his effectiveness because he's not great at holding the ball up. He doesn't hold the ball up very well at all. So I think, listen, let's find a way to make both of them work because they're two top players. And I just don't want to see us selling quality. DS Electronics Unlimited says Ozil don't seem to be the type of player to take a wage cut. I think he means there. He's not taking a wage cut. He's already said he's not taking a wage cut. Rafiq says we should sell Louisa Mustafi and get either Umtiti or Upamecano. Partey would be a bonus. Jake says, Robbie, thoughts on Jota from Wolves. Very good player. Very underrated player. Yeah, good. This guy says, what do you think about getting Fraser on a free? Yeah, listen, I'd take him for 100%. I'd take Forster Fraser. I think he's a very good keeper. As I said, the only thing I'm not too sure about him is what's he like distribution-wise, which now is a very important part of goalkeeping. It's not just about shot stopping. It's not just about being commanding in the box. This is another thing you have to your game as well now, which is distribution. One of the reasons Arsenal bought in Leno, because, you know, the fact that he's good with the ball at his feet, and although I think his distribution can improve, but that kind of sweeper keeper is what a lot of clubs are looking for now. And I'm not sure Fraser Forster's not really that guy. Amir says, what do you think of Norwich playmaker Todd Cantwell? And he spelled it differently there, but he didn't catch me that. He's a very, very good player. Very, very good young player. Indeed, he's had a great season. And I think Norwich will struggle to keep him if they do get relegated. Sarflash says, hey, Robbie, don't you think a Partey Torreira pivot would be too defensive? Not really. You know what? I just want to tighten up the defense. If that saves us leaking goals, man, you know, we've got to tighten up the defense. Like going into the game this week against Manchester City, I think the way to beat Manchester City, we've seen what Man United did. You keep it really, really tight at the back and compact, and then you catch them on the counter attack. We never seem to be able to keep it compact. Never ever be able to seem to do it that way. So, and that compactness and being hard to break down starts from the midfield. Well, it's the whole team has to be involved in it, but the midfield is essential. And our midfield's not tight enough. It's too leaky. The teenage Gruner says, do you think Aubameyang could have been a top 3 striker in our history if he joined 5 years earlier? Well, if his goal scoring record is anything to go by, yes, you know, it's been phenomenal what he's done. So yeah, I mean, if he was there longer, You know, he could be, you know, Thierry Henry's record. If he'd have joined 5 years ago, Thierry Henry's goal scoring record would definitely be under threat. Chronic Maths Debater says, Robbie, we don't need wingers. All this Justin Kluivert talk is nonsense. And yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Yuri says, do you see Arsenal getting back into the top 4 anytime soon, seeing the moves other teams are making to strengthen? All depends what we do this summer. You know, we may not buy players, but loan deals are going to be very important. Coutinho, for me, that would be a good, especially if, right, how I look on it, if Danny Ceballos' loan deal is not extended and he goes back to Real Madrid, we don't have to be paying him. We can get rid of a few other people off of the wage bill. And why not go for somebody like a Coutinho on loan for a season? Let's bring in some quality to the team. Let's be looking to add just pure quality into the team in defensive areas, in attacking areas, you know, and then maybe we can get back into the top 4. That's got to be the first aim, get back into the top 4. But ultimately, I want to see Arsenal challenging to win the league. And at the moment, we're still far off. Thanks for watching the show today. Don't forget, we will be back tonight with a Sunday lockdown Q&A. So make sure you check me out for that. Starting from tomorrow, there's not going to be 2 AFTV news dailies per day. It's only going to be 1. And the reason for that is that we're moving into full football restart mode, which is, you know, we're going to have lots of different videos. Looking forward to the Manchester City game. We're going to be doing previews. I've got a Manchester City preview coming up. We've got loads of videos coming out. So we're still, though, I still want to be doing these news dailies, still want to be connecting with the fans, but we're really doing 1 per day because obviously we're going to have games in there. We're going to have the day after. You know, there's going to be so many videos out there, but we'll still be doing at least 1 a day. So that will be from tomorrow as we kind of move out of this phase of complete lockdown. So don't worry if you don't see 2 shows tomorrow. There's going to be lots of content, and we're still going to be getting you involved, and we're still going to definitely be having 1 show per day where you guys can come on and have your say on Arsenal. But it's only 3 days to go, and I'm looking forward to it when Arsenal restart against Manchester City at the Etihad. It's going to be a huge game. Can't wait. Thanks, and I'll see you later.